Hello everybody, Tetra here. Welcome to Creation Station. We are going to be doing a tutorial over the absolute basics of Godot 4 for people who have never used this engine before. Now by the end of this video, we're going to show you some of the essential settings. You're going to have some lighting. You're going to have a character. You're going to be able to start up the project and use the arrow keys to move around. Use the space bar to jump. Just the absolute basics to get one foot in the water. Now, Godot 4 uses a node system, and this is a picture of an environment that I made myself, demonstrating what the engine can do. So hopefully you're ready to start your game development journey today because we're going to hop right in. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to 3D scene up here under create root node, and this is going to give us the parent node for the entire scene that we're making. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to right click it, and you can see we've got add child node. Now, this gives us the option to a bunch of different nodes. And there's another shortcut. This plus sign over here takes us to the same thing. And the other options below here, you can attach a script to the node this way. You can rename it. You can change the type of node. You can save it as a branch to a scene. You can copy the node path if you're needing a directory for a script so it can find it in the engine. You can do that. Open documentation. But we're going to add the child node, and we're going to type in dir for directional light 3D, and we're just going to place this into the scene. And as you can see, there's an arrow. It's telling us which way the light is supposed to be facing. We're just going to rotate it to be pointing down at 90 degrees. We're going to come back up to the 3D node up here, the parent, click on it again, and we're going to type in env for the world environment node, and as you can see, everything went gray, and that's because it needs to know what kind of sky we're going to be using, whether it's a shader or procedural or physical. We're going to decide that right now. If you go up to the top right, you'll see environment under world environment. Whenever you click a node over on the left here, your options will display over on the right, and as you can see, there's a caution sign telling us a warning that it's not set up properly. All you got to do is click this empty tab and click environment, and this will tell us that we need lighting options. We're going to go ahead and click a couple of them. The SDFGI, we're going to click that, and we're going to click glow. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to background. As you can see, it says clear color. That's why the background looks the way it does. You can do custom color if your project requires just a very basic looking background like a flat color, but we're going to be doing a sky, so we're going to click sky. This gives us another sky option down here to give us an option for the material. So we're going to click that, and then once we click the material here, it says sky material. We're going to select what type it is. We're going to click procedural. Now we're back to where we were at, but now we can actually change some things. So we're going to go to the SDFGI, and you can see that this option, read skylight and bounce feedback, we're going to be able to adjust the amount of energy per light bounce, and the sky is actually going to take into account like the color of the atmosphere with the environments you make. Pretty neat. You got like max distance that things can be affected by. A lot of stuff here that'd be, for a beginner really neat to mess around with. There are some other lighting options here as well right up above it. We're going to go to glow, and we're going to rotate the camera up, and we're going to turn up the intensity just a tad bit, and then we're going to turn up the strength. And as you can see, our sun has a bit more oomph to it now. It actually has more of a glow to it, and that's what we want. So we're going to rotate the camera back down, and we're going to go ahead and click out of this. We're going to go over to our 3D node and we're going to set up a platform for our character. So go to add child node. Make sure to remember to click your 3D node up here, the parent, and just type in mesh now. When you type in mesh, it'll give you mesh instance 3D. This is what you want. You'll come to the right where mesh is, click the tab, and you get some options here for what you want. We're not going to do a box or a capsule shape or anything like that. We're just going to do a plane, which is like a flat sheet of paper. And as you can see, the light is directly affecting it. It's kind of got a glow to it. We're going to go over to the left and we're going to add what is called a collision box to this so you don't fall through the ground when we add our character. So you could go to add child and do this, but if you're clicked on the mesh instance 3D, there's a shortcut. You can come up here to the top, click mesh, create collision shape, and it will be set on sibling by default. You just come down and click static body child and create. Now you won't fall through the ground when you have a character spawned into the scene. So we've got everything set up to have a character in the scene. So that's what we're going to do next. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and click on Node 3D and click this plus sign, and we're going to type in CHAR, character body 3D. Now, this is really cool. When we add a script to this, it's got a template. You're not going to have to type in any code to get this to move and jump around. So first thing we got to do is get rid of this warning sign. And unfortunately, it doesn't have the mesh thing up here for us like it did for the mesh instance 3D. So we're going to type in COLL, collision shape 3D. Now it's got a caution, so we're going to come over here to shape. And the capsule shape is what we're going to use, probably the best shape for most characters. Now we're going to add a camera to this real quick. Add CAM up there in the search. 3D camera. As you can see on the right, you can see what the camera sees. But we're not going to be able to see the character without a representation. So we're going to click the character body again. And we're going to add another mesh instance 3D. But this time it's going to be under our character instead of the main parent. So we'll click that. And we'll come over here to the right. And we're going to make this a capsule as well. Now, we are almost there. We're going to move this camera. We're going to move it up to the top just for the sake of good practice. And we're going to add a script to this character body. We can right click, come down here to attach script. As you can see, basic movement. This is going to have everything we need already set up. Really cool. It knows what type of script it is. It's got the constant setup for us. The physics process is handling everything. Really cool. Now you can change in and out of these screens up here at the top. 2D and 3D games, like what we're doing in a 3D scene. You're going to have to go to 2D to do your menus. So just keep that in mind. Now, all we got to do is we're going to pull up on our character here and move it up out of the ground. And make sure you have your character body 3D selected when you do this. And we're going to select our 3D camera. And now that we have a representation, we're going to click the Z arrow here. And in the Y arrow to move it up, move it back. And we're going to try to get it in a better position for like a third person type game. Now, we got a couple things we need to do real quick. We're going to go ahead and select our Mesh Instance 3D. And this is the proper way to resize this. If you go to transform and use scale, there are situations that's not going to work out real well later on. Just clicking on the tab and go on the size is the proper way to resize these. If you're wanting to do something like water, this will also work for that. because when you apply your shaders and everything to it, you can add more vertices and everything to this and make the geometry more complex by subdividing it right here. Just something to note for later on. Now we got one other issue. When you resize it, the static body recreated is not going to be right. So we're going to go ahead and delete it. We're going to re-click it and use our shortcut up here and go to static body again. Now we won't fall through the ground because our collision is the right size. So just note that when you make changes, the collision is not going to update. So now we can come up here to the top and click Run Project. And look at that. We can move, we can jump, and just some really basic stuff. You've already now, if you're following this tutorial, have a character to move around, and you can put other objects using the Mesh Instance 3D into the scene and just play around with it. Now we're going to be going into some settings and other options, and I'll be showing you a little bit of extra stuff, alright? First thing I'm going to point out here is the icon that they give you right out of the box. Now why I'm pointing this out is this area is going to be very important. Anytime you import an asset or a texture that you're going to use, it's all going to show up down here. Now, project settings up here has a spot where you can change this, and that is right here. You're under application config, and the icon for that can be changed right here. Now, we got name, description, inversion, some pretty common options that a lot of people when they start their project are going to want to mess with. Like I said earlier, this tutorial is just covering the absolute basics, things that I think that the most people will want to know right off the bat. The viewport was pretty small. Now my resolution is 4K. So I had it set on 1080 and reset it back here so you guys could see that the default size in my case isn't even 1080, but you can adjust that here. It's on windowed. You can go to maximize full screen. You can have it centered if it's windowed on the primary screen with some other options here. You got like the resizable window, borderless, always on top, no focus so you can't click on something. You got the options for aspect ratio and stuff, and all this is under display and window. You even got a VSync option down here. And we're going to go take a look at physics real quick. Now, Jolt Physics is the new standard for Godot. It used to have its own Godot Physics 3D that it had as default. Now it is Jolt. Now, 2D does not have Jolt. It is standard Godot Physics. I figured I would just point this out, but this is where you'll find that in case you do want to switch it. And we're going to come down to rendering. Now we got some options for your textures when you're importing them in. You'll be able to do this a couple different ways, but you got some here. And we got lights and shadows. You guys will probably want to mess with this and figure out, you know, what for what project and what settings and everything will drastically affect your performance. So making sure these are set pretty early on will be beneficial. Global illumination, you can have half resolution to, you know, reduce the strain on your GPU. You got environment, and these were some of the lighting options for the sky. And there were some other options like the volumetric fog that we didn't mess with. Now, the volumetric fog is something I've not really messed with, but it's already set on higher quality. If you plan on using it, you might want to lower the quality just in case. But all this going to be adjusted here. We got anti-aliasing options and they're disabled by default. But I just figured I would show you guys because this is a lot of the stuff that you're going to want to know about starting off. And if you're wanting to program buttons for your game, input map is right next to general where these other options were. And you'll be able to set up your keys, or if you got a controller, you'll be able to set up your joypad options in here. And we do have some other options under editor and editor settings. This is pretty self-explanatory. If there's anything about the engine you want to fine-tune and not your actual project, that can be done here. Now, I've done it with some things, but it was mostly just because I didn't like the way the camera and stuff and the viewport was handling, so I was in here messing with some of this. But those options are there as well in case you want to explore that. Now down here at the bottom, when we had opened up our game, the output had came up. We're going to click on the debugger, and as you can see, the game was running at a smooth 60. And you can click on these and have them pop up down here, and keep an eye on the performance. Something that you guys should know about. I always keep track of what's going on constantly. Maybe even a little OCD about it, but just some stuff that I think you guys should know about. And of course, down here next to debugger, you can set up audio. There's stuff for animations in the animation player because there's an animation player node. Shaders. But this is just the basics. I wanted to get you guys familiar with the editor. That way you guys could come in, kind of know where everything's placed at. If you followed the tutorial, you'll have something to start with, which is a big game changer. Instead of just trying to do this yourself, now you can get started. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. The next tutorial I plan on making will be importing assets and adding textures to them. So hopefully you guys will check the channel and see when that's posted up and watch that as well. But until then, hopefully you guys have a good night, and hopefully you enjoy yourself exploring the engine of Godot 4.